thank you so much because we've been trying to talk to each other for like, it seems like a year now, but it's not. I'm such a big fan of yours, Lynn.
I appreciate it. That still for me is very mysterious because it is because I don't feel that has sort of nothing to do with what I do as a giver and an actress. It's sort of, the frosting on the cake, so to speak. And I'm very grateful.
Well, let's start a little bit, in your history because you're a theater kid. You started in musical theater. I know you did Bye Bye Birdie and on the town.
But they wouldn't let me sing.
Yeah, well,
for real.
I played the devil in Damn Yankees a lifetime ago, and they wouldn't let me sing either.
So. Okay, good. We were in the same club.
Yeah.
But you could act your heart out. So.
But tell me about that. Is that where you got the theater bug, the acting bug?
Not really. It's sort of, this whole thing feels very mysterious to me. I think I love telling stories, and I grew up in a very quiet neighborhood where there were no kids. So I used to spend, I would go to school. I was obviously in school and everything, but when it came playtime, my mom I'd go to I had a room, beautiful little bedroom, and had a lot of stuffed animals and dolls, and I would make up plays. Wow. With them. And I had there was a big closet with with French doors and two long mirrors. And I remember I would sort of act out. So that was sort of my audience. I was my own audience, but for me as a little girl, the reflection was my audience. And I really spent a lot of time making up stories, and they were serials. Like I would end, my mother would call me down to dinner, and wherever I left off is where I would start the next day. And I loved pretending to be other people, which I still that's really what I love best about acting, is the community and pretending to be other people and trying to find the core of what that is, of why am I not them and why are they not me? What makes us different? And try to find the core of that in terms of serving the material, serving the film, serving the play. So in grade school, I was always the first one with my hand up, to be in the play. And so grade school all the way through, I went kindergarten through 8th, the same school. And, we used to do school plays like once a year or whatever. And high school, same thing. I was always auditioning for the drama club, but I wasn't in the drama club. I just would sort of audition and then be in the play. I'd get the part, which was always a good sign. And I went to University of Michigan, an undergraduate. I was an art history major. I was not I was not a part of the theater world there, but I auditioned for everything that came up, and I would usually get cast in many things. And after I graduated Michigan, having been an art history major, I applied to the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York, and I got a job in the registrar's office in the basement. So it was literally, I'd been there for a couple of weeks. I remember the name of my supervisor, Mrs. Siekowitz. And she, and it was filing. It was really boring. I mean, and eventually they sort of work you in. I wasn't smart enough to be a curator, nor did I have aspirations for that. At another point in my life, I was actually the registrar of the San Francisco Museum of Art, which was quite a big job for a 23-year-old, So I did have ability, but I kept going. I wanted to be in a play. I mean, I'd always been in plays. So it occurred to me, why don't I apply to graduate school in theater? So I did, and I got into Columbia and to NYU. And I remember I chose Columbia. And so there was a 3-year program, and with, full on Joe Papp, who started the public theater, was one of our teachers. He taught directing there. Great roster of very talented writers and directors who were also teachers, acting teachers. And so I finished the 3-year program and launched into theater in New York. And primarily it was the beginning of Off Broadway. It was a wonderful time. It was this late 70s, and it was the early 70s actually. And so all those places now, the Manhattan Theater Club, Playwrights Horizons, the American Place Theater, Chelsea Theater, they were all just blooming, and I was in everything. I mean, I was very aggressively ambitious, not to be an actor just because I wanted to do it so much. And that's really my core still.
And you studied with the greats. You studied with Uta Hagen, Stella Adler,
Lee
gosh,
Strasberg. I'm a member of the Actors
Strasberg,
Studio.
and you're a lifetime member of the Actors Studio.
Yes, because they once you get in and getting in, that I mean, this was also I was there when Lee was there, when Lee Strasberg was there, and he had to. I think I auditioned 6 times for him. That's what he made you do to see if you were really serious. and it was wonderful, Ellen. I mean, it was peopled with some of the greats that we know today, like Ellen Burstyn and Mark Rydell was often our moderator, who was just, and he's still, God bless him, he's I think 90 something, and he's still cooking.
Yeah.
So this was my base of learning, and Uta Hagen was one of the most exquisite teachers I've had ever for anything, and I was very proud. Stella Adler too. They were both really tough, and my biggest feather in my own cap was they really liked my work, and they really liked me, and there were a lot of women I saw not get treated very well in those classes. They were especially hard on women, maybe because they were women and they had struggled very hard to get their place in the sun there. So I was given a lot of support and a lot of reassurance that I was a good actress.
I remember meeting Lee Strasberg. It was in an elevator, and his words still ring today. He said, 6, please. And so I just
and look what that did for you.
It just turned my whole life around. When did you get your SAG card? What were you doing?
That's a good story. I got my SAG card. I auditioned for a character. The character's name was Layla, who's described as the ugliest girl in the world. And the entire production, she wears a bag on her head. And I didn't get it. There was a beautiful actress, whose name is escaping me at the moment, who got the job. A beautiful young black actress, which was at that time even, sort of extra special. Thank goodness it's not so extra. It's just if you're a good actress, you get the work. But I got to be her understudy. So she actually let me go on, and it was an incredible role. I mean, to do with literally all you had was 2 holes, in a burlap bag. It was scary to be in. It was very claustrophobic. It was one of the leads of the show. It was her, the mother, and Rob Jackson. And so because I did the show, she knew I was trying to get my equity card. And once you perform, you become a member. So I got my equity card then, and then I bought my way into SAG. I think it was $200, and I thought, and I hadn't really done any movies, but I thought, well, I might as well be Screen Actors Guild too, So that was what happened.
This portion of Screen Chatter is presented by VP Dental. Check out our great dental plans starting at just $16 per month. Looking at your history, you've worked with everybody, and literally everybody, and I think every person you work with, every scene partner you have, leaves their mark in your soul.
I think you're right. That's a beautiful way of expressing it also. I'm very emotional always, especially.
I'm verklempt too. I'm very.
But it means that much to me because I'm not, when I listen to people or even questions that get asked. So when did you decide, which is normal. When did you decide you wanted to be an actress? I never decided. I didn't care about, so I'm going to end up going to New York and LA and I'm going to be a movie star. And I never, ever even, it's still to me seems magical. I'm attracted to material, story, and the people, obviously, that's what's important to me, is that kind of communion you have with both the work, the story, and the people you work with. And that's what I crave.
And that reflects in the jobs that you've taken over the years, because you've worked with Michael Landon on Highway to Heaven.
Oh my God.
Frasier, and this is back in the day, and Landon was directing everything as well.
Yeah.
What was he like? Because I had known Michael Landon for a little bit before he passed, and I thought he was the most generous, giving actor, other than Bill Bixby, I've ever met.
I mean, I had a small role. It was a small, I don't even remember if it was a guest star, just a supporting role. I did audition for him, I remember. And he was so handsome that you're sort of like, I mean, there is that moment where you walk in the room and you kind of want to pinch him to see if he's real. I did not pinch him, and he was so kind to everybody. I mean, there was no differentiation whether you had a huge role, whether you had a small role. It didn't matter. And so the little bit I worked with him, he was extremely kind and generous, and had an aura around him that translated to the way he dealt with you and what you were able to give to him.
Do you enjoy drama over comedy as an actress?
No, to me, they're the same. I mean, I have good timing, and I'm funny. I am very funny, and I know it. And I've learned I'm a pretty good writer, and because I see the world with both pain and humor.
As it is.
So I feel that's sort of that puts me in the right court. And but I don't prefer one over the other. Bad comedy, really, I have no interest in whatsoever. I mean, I'm not a joke teller. That's not interesting to me.
You don't like gags?
Yeah, I was never interested in sitcom. I mean, I have nothing negative to say about it. It's a genre unto itself, and the people that do it are brilliant. I have no interest in it. The comedy stuff I've gotten to do, it's actually, we are gathered here. The director, we're working on a script together right now, and it's a little horror script. Mm-hmm. And we were just talking about that there's comedy in there, mm-hmm. and usually the lines that I suggest or whatever heighten that, because that's how I see life. I think we're ridiculous. I just think we are the most ridiculous animal to ever grace the earth, and we better be very careful, because I think the dinosaurs are coming back. Well, I don't care if they nudge the asteroid or not. It's like
your film, We Are Gathered Here Today, is a beautiful, beautiful testament to family, to love, to heartbreak and hope. Danny Houston is an American treasure. I love Danny, and
he is wonderful, just wonderful.
The entire cast of this is incredible, and yet it's almost like doing voice work, because I know you do a lot of voice work where you're not really in the room bouncing off of somebody. You're on Zoom and other platforms. That must have been totally different as an actor.
Well, it was, listen, COVID was unprecedented. I've never been through anything like that, where somebody told me I couldn't go somewhere and this was canceled and put a mask on before you go out of the house. I mean, I just never, so it was so unprecedented. And when Paul, I don't know I can't remember the genesis of it for myself. I can't remember if he just reached out to me. I think he had me in mind, which mm-hmm. I was very grateful for. And he didn't, it was not scripted. He gave us a storyline and cast all these different people from this family. And the genesis what generated the story, of course, was that the patriarch of the family was dying and had basically because COVID took people out like that. I mean, this was really when we were all, especially, were really raw about this illness, and that the irony being, let's go to the hospital no. Let's go see. No, you cannot be with him. You can't hold his hand. You can't give him comfort from his bed, which robs you of certainly an end of life experience, which is probably the most profound thing that happens in families, other than giving birth. I mean, it's really, and to say you can't do that was the genesis, I think, for this story. So he gave us, Jenny O'Hara was his wife, mm-hmm. And I was her sister. So we were sister-in-laws, and I was a pain in the ass. I mean, he gave me, and I really was. Actually, I told it. So another interview, Jenny got really mad at me because I kept interrupting because I'm a drunk. And every time I was just talking, and I didn't have anything really to say, and no one listens to me. When I watched the story, I thought, poor Jean, nobody listens to her, because she's just babbling away, and I don't want to do it, and I'm crying half the time, and I'm a mess, and I'm drinking, and and I sort of deteriorate further and further in the storyline. But so Paul gave us the opportunity to create our own characters.
Yeah.
And the dialogue was all ours. It was all improv.
Wow.
So what a treat that was, and to see the way, and he had hundreds of hours of video, because I think we shot it in 3 days, and it was 3 to 6 hour segments where you were on the Zoom call for that long. It sounded great because you didn't have to go anywhere, but after hour three and a half.
I want to talk to you about your other incredible performance as Helen Keller versus the Nightwolves.
I don't think anyone has ever asked me about that.
I just think, I smell Oscar every time I.
The big problem was trying to figure out how to get the claw marks on my face correctly.
You have been in some films. Do you enjoy horror films yourself? I mean, or because you've been in a ton of them.
Yeah. Don't tell anybody. But I don't really like horror films. I mean, I like, again, for me, the primary focus, whether it's horror, comedy, drama. I mean, I love all of it, basically. But if it's not a good story, I don't because there are people who I'm not a blood and guts person. I don't like seeing, I don't know what that is. I have a couple friends who are very close friends who are obsessed, with skulls and crosses, and I have none of that. I'm Jewish, first of all.
Well, there you go.
Maybe that's the problem. Yeah. I have too many. The
the chicken soup from hell. Something
really. But I feel like again, for me, the focus is not so much on genre as it is story. And if something scares me, I mean, I think fear, I've talked about this in other interviews too, fear is a fascinating emotion. And there's something pleasurable about it, which is weird when you think about it, but even viscerally, you get short of breath. I mean, when you're really scared of something, your heart rate goes up, you get goose pimples. And there's some physical expression of fear that is somewhat pleasurable as well as fear.
It's the cinematic equivalent of a roller coaster.
Exactly. That's a beautiful way to put it too. You're very smart.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
But in doing like the Insidious series and all of that, I mean, it's wonderful to be part of a franchise like that. Do you ever get to some of those conventions where you're signing autographs and sitting next to Bill Shatner and doing that?
I've done a couple of them. I've done more than I've probably over the years done 3, 4, 5 of them. You make a lot of money. I also feel very strange taking money from people to sign my name. I really do. I mean, and I know that's the program, and they come wanting to do it, and because I've talked to the fans about that, and they said, no, we're happy to do that, but it just feels weird to me, that I really have no value on my own fame. I mean, I just don't. I mean, that's not why I do what I do. It's a byproduct, a grateful one. I mean, I love that people kind of know who I am. It's exciting, but I'm still like, I'm not like, yeah, hi, thank you. It's like, oh my God. It's like, I get as excited as they do.
But I think it's also a love letter to those films and to your character for people to come up and say hi and want to.
Yes, and they want to do it. So, and I must say, it's hard work. I mean, you're exhausted at the end of the day because you want to give. I'm sure everyone who does it feels that way. You want to give something to them for being there, not just a signature. I talked to Robert Englund about that, who gets lines out the door and around the block, and and he says, he has sort of a timekeeper, so he makes sure he gets everybody a certain amount of time, and answers questions, and I mean, it's really a very intense process. Is it fun? I can't say fun is the right word. Is it gratifying? Yes. Yeah. And also, I haven't gone back to any, and I don't know when or if I will. I get asked occasionally. People know I'm not really into doing that. I have a couple actor friends who go to every single one there is. I mean, really, I'm on my way to Schmagegi, Ohio. I'm on my way.
Muncie.
Yeah, really. So, and listen, I find no fault with it. It's wonderful. They're asked and they want to do it and they want to give that, and they make money. Yeah. I mean, coming home with cash like that is crazy. I took it to the bank. They thought I'd stolen something.
Wow.
They actually called the manager to come over. Isn't that weird? So you go, oh, okay. Yeah. And that wasn't that much money, but somebody, it's really, people are charging. See, that's weird to me. I mean, I'm happy to sign my name onto something. And if you make money off of me, good.
It's such a pleasure to chat with you and get to know you.
Thank you so much, Tony. This has just been fun, and I hope I didn't talk too much.
No, you talked just perfect.
Okay,
perfect.
Good.
And when I'm in LA, I'll hit you up for a cup of coffee. We'll go somewhere and just gab.
That sounds great.
I'll do this. We'll gab.
We'll gab. Okay.
This portion of Screen Chatter is presented by VP Dental. Check out our great dental plans starting at just $16 per month.